Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Get Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Brennan Wiersma. Please be sure to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Today I have here Austin Rutherford, real estate investor, who's had quite the success in flipping and buying whole. From my understanding, you kind of do it all now. So I'm really excited to hear your insight on all the latest and newest stuff you got going on, because I know we can learn a lot. So thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to this for sure.
So how did you get started in real estate? I know that's kind of always the first question, but you originally you're pretty big in private money from what I have seen you post on social media.
Yeah. So I kind of say like I have two kind of starts in real estate. The first one, kind of take it back. My dream was to go to the NBA. Didn't work out. Read a book called Think and Grow Rich. Fell in love with the idea of passive income through real estate. So that was kind of like, all right, that's how I was going to get rich, was own a bunch of rental properties. So I started doing like research, and I was kind of like self-educated, bought little like $10, $20, $30 knick-knack programs just to learn as much as possible. And then at 20 years old, I ended up buying my first duplex. It was 100% rental. You know, I didn't move into it. And I was making like $1,000 a month, give or take. I did that. I saved money through my childhood. I had about $25,000, $30,000 to my name. I used that as a down payment. And then I was broke. You know, it took me 20 years of my life to save that money, and I didn't have any money anymore. So then I was like, all right, well, I need to find a way to make money faster to be able to keep buying rental properties. So I got licensed as a realtor, sold like 2 houses, hated it. And then met a mentor of mine that taught me how to flip houses at the age of 21. And then that's kind of like my second start. That's kind of what I call my start, is that point. And then I bought my first flip at 21. I sold it at 22. I raised $250,000 using private money lenders to fund the entire deal, and sold the house, made $107,000 in net profit a week after my 22nd birthday. And the rest was history after that.
Wow, 22 years old. That must have been, 22, that was a year ago for me, but I don't know what I would even think of $100,000, you know, like everything I've known so far, and probably most people that age. Was that crazy for you, or was it kind of par for the course?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. You know, it was like kind of expected, because like I always wanted to have success. But like actually holding, like, the check was $184,000. You know, 107 was actual profit. I had to pay one of my lenders back 81 grand. I don't know, yeah, 81 grand. So like it was by far the biggest check I've ever held in my life. So it was awesome to see, but it was like, all right, cool. What's next though? You know what I mean? The crazy story behind it, you know, you walk away with $107,000 in profit a week after your 22nd birthday. Like, you know, it's time to party. It's time to celebrate. Let's take a trip. Let's buy some jewelry, whatever it is. The crazy story behind it is I literally did not spend a penny of it. Not a single dime. I didn't go to dinner. I didn't buy a pair of shoes, like nothing. I put it all back, paid off my debt, and I put it all back into the business, back into marketing, because I knew one deal wasn't going to change my life. I went back to working valet 50 to 60 hours a week. I went back to college, taking 15 credit hours. And I had 6 figures in my bank account. You know, that's more money than, you know, my parents have ever made in a year. So I always had like the bigger vision, and one deal wasn't going to make or break my life at that point.
Man, yeah, it's always, there's no shortcuts, right? I mean, it seems like with anything, if you're going to do, if you're a realtor, or if you're trying to excel in your career, and especially if you're starting your own business, it's almost like double the amount of work. What did that look like for you early on? Was it calling people to see if they wanted to sell a distressed property, and it was more fix and flips, or what was your goal for when you were hustling?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I got into the game learning rehabs. Like I never knew what wholesaling was at the time. So it was like, all right, I need a house that I can buy to flip. So I was looking for flips, you know, didn't really know I didn't know the BRRRR method. I didn't know house hacking. I knew flips and rental properties, and I was flipping to buy rentals. That was kind of the strategy. And then at the time, there wasn't really, to my knowledge, nobody was cold calling, texting, RVMing, you know, all the things that are heavily talked about in today's world, you know, wasn't ever done back when I got started. So it was a lot of direct mail and a lot of driving for dollars. I would sit in my parents' basement from, when I got back from school, which was like 8, 9 p.m. to like 1, 2 a.m. and literally handwrite letters, thousands of them a week, to send direct mail to people. I'd call my buddies over for like the NBA playoffs, and I'd get some Little Caesars pizzas, the little $5 boxes. I was like, yo, pizza's on me, like come to the crib, let's watch the game. And then they get there, I'd be like, y'all trying to help me write letters? So some of my best friends were actually some of the dudes that was literally in the basement handwriting letters with me. So yeah, that's kind of that was the strategy at the beginning.
Man, have like looking back then with what you know now, do you think there's more resources available that people have? I know I'm using Batch Driven. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
It seems like a cheat code almost. It gives you everything.
Oh, I mean, it's the stuff that you can do now with clicks of a button, like it's crazy. You can literally click send thousands of text messages and get a 50K deal in tomorrow. It's definitely different. There's goods and negatives to that. But at the end of the day, like no matter where you're at in the market cycle, like people are making money. It's not that real estate doesn't work. People are always like, oh, that doesn't work. Like people are doing it. I'm doing it. Like what part of it doesn't work? So no matter where you're at in the market cycle or what marketing strategy or what's working or what's not working, something always works. You just got to put the work in.
Yeah,
There's a cool quote I heard. It was like, it works. You're just not working
it. For sure. And I think because one of the things I love so much about this podcast is I get to have these conversations with people that longer than I have with people in my everyday life. Like the average conversation I have is like 10 minutes at the most. And then a few times a week, I'm having a conversation with someone like you who is, super successful and motivated and like upbeat, positive, and that has an effect on you. It's like, because I'm trying to get into real estate. I can't say I'm in real estate. I haven't done my first deal. I came really close, but yeah. But so when I'm, spending all the hours, I kind of feel like, maybe this doesn't work. And then I talk to a mentor. I come on a podcast and listen to people talk about how the success they're having, and it's like a reminder. Oh no, yeah, it's real. You just have to keep going.
No, it works. Just to kind of take it back to the beginning for people that may be newer, like maybe like yourself, people see like what I'm doing now, where I'm living, the cars that I have, the money that I'm making, all these cool things that everybody wants. But the day I bought into a mentor program to start real estate, I pulled out a credit card the day before to pay for it. I maxed it out the next day, 100% maxed out, 18 months, no interest, 25 grand. I was broke and maxed out a credit card for 25 grand. From that day to the day that I made money was 16 months. I valeted 50 to 60 hours a week every single day for 16 months. I went to college. I took 15 credit hours at the same time every single day for 16 months. I was a licensed real estate agent. I was showing houses to people, and I was starting my real estate business on the side. So like, it's just, it shit just doesn't magically happen. There's a process to all of it. I remember, I don't know, some months into that 16 months, I was driving home from work. It was like 3 p.m. on like a Tuesday, and I fell asleep at the wheel. And I woke up because I hit the curb and I was driving on the sidewalk, still going. And I woke up and there was a light pole in front of me. And I swerved back onto the road, drove home, and started handwriting letters. Like, no matter what got in the way, like I was going to make it happen. I slept on average 4 to 5 hours a night. So all those excuses of like time, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, it doesn't work. Those are all excuses at the end of the day. The people that actually get through and make it are the people that put the work in. Some people get rich overnight, but they usually lose it. But the ones that put the work in, it usually doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. I mean, and it's almost like you don't want it to happen overnight because, right, because all of a sudden, like, let's say you just jump into something new that you're excited about, and the first phone call you make, you get a huge check. That's going to completely distort your mind of what actually is the reality. Like you're going to think that's how it is, and you're maybe not going to feel as strongly or passionate about it because you don't know. Like for you, you've put in so many hours of work and you've struggled and went through all that. So to you, it has so much meaning because you've suffered and earned it. Whereas if it was easy, none of that's there. It's almost like you're not going to be as successful just because of that.
For sure. I mean, there's a saying like the people that are given stuff lose it. You know what I mean? Like the wealthy
Yeah.
kids, like they go bankrupt, they lose it all, they end up in prison. Not everybody, right? But you just don't respect it, right? One of the best feelings to be able to reflect on is the journey. Like fall in love with the process because that's what you're really going to remember.
Yeah. So I'm sure people are wondering, right? How does a 22-year-old kid even know where to start on fixing and flipping a project that big? Like, where does the private money come from? Where do you even start looking for the deal? Had you just studied that much? Like, where were you at during that time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've always been a big believer in mentorship. I mean, I spend at least 100 grand a year today, every year, on mentorship and masterminds and learning from other people. So when I started real estate, I paid that mentor $25,000, maxed out my credit card, and they started teaching me the game. How to market. That's why I was sending direct letters. How to analyze deals. That's why I bought the house at the right price to be able to make money. And they taught about private money as well. So very long story short, started sending direct mail. 5 months in, I got a call back from the seller, went to the house, got it under contract, and it was a $74,000 purchase and $170,000 rehab. So huge rehab, $250,000 raise in private money that I didn't have. So I was like, all right, bet, like, what's next? And another funny story, when I was like looking for houses, my mom was like, well, what happens when you get a house? Like, how are you marketing for houses, but you don't even have the money to buy the houses? And my response immediately was like, I don't know. I'll figure that part out when it happens. So, people want like all the answers. You're never going to have all the answers. But ended up getting the property under contract. I was like, all right, bet. Like, I got to raise money. So I ended up meeting a lady a year before at a real estate conference. And she was like, yeah, I'm getting into real estate. I have some money set aside to flip my own houses. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. We exchanged numbers and that was that. A year later, I was just like thinking, I'm like, who can fund this deal? And she popped into my mind. I called her. I was like, how's things going? She's like, yeah, I haven't really done anything. I was like, well, I got this opportunity. Like, you want to lend on it? And she ended up funding the deal for 12% and 2 points. Bought it, did a $170,000 rehab. Called my mentor a few times for sure to figure out like how to do it. I mean, we did $25,000 in the foundation. We did a 600 square foot addition. We built a new 2-car garage, sewer lines, water lines, electric, plumbing, HVAC, like the whole shebang. And ended up listing it within 8 hours. We had 13 offers, 25 grand over list price. Sold it 30 days later, made $107,000 in net profit. So for me, that entire process was learning from somebody else. People go out there and try to recreate the wheel because they're like doing something special. You're not doing anything special. Somebody's already done what you're trying to do. So why go the hard way and learn the hard way when you can take the shortcut and learn from somebody who's already done it? So I've done that my entire life.
Yeah, wow. So your mentor was probably pulling the strings on most of that, because it was that private lender. Were they actively knowing what to do with the flip, or were you kind of guiding the whole thing through your mentor?
Yeah, I mean, we were both new. Like the lender was new to real estate. I was new to real estate. Luckily, they trusted a 21-year-old kid with $250,000 of their retirement. And, the mentor wasn't like, I don't want people to get it twisted. The mentor wasn't on the ground. I wasn't calling them every single day. So like people are like, oh, well, you had somebody there for you every single day. Like, no, that's not an excuse. You know what I mean? Like I had a call a month with this mentor. That's it.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
that was my mentor. It was a call a month, right? That's a lie. I think it was a call every 2 weeks, a 30-minute call every 2 weeks. Like they can't teach you how to do $170,000 in construction on a 30-minute phone call, right?
Right.
They just kind of helped guide. So they were great. But don't use that as an excuse if you don't have a mentor, whatever you want to call it, because the way I learned is working valet, taking college credit hours, and I drove to the house every single day to learn. I hired a contractor. Every day I was at the house for at least an hour a day, learning every single thing I could. So anytime something happened, I was there. Termite issues, I was there. Framing issues, I was there. Sewer issues, I was there. Landscaping issues, I was there. Electrical issues, I was there. So I was there to learn it and do it. So, I mean, you can figure stuff out. YouTube's amazing. It's all the information's there. You just got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, I mean, because even especially today, there's so much that's right at your fingertips.
For sure.
And it almost, it almost seems weird to not be always actively trying to, maybe if it's not in real estate, but whatever it is, there's so many resources. What's the thing that's keeping people from just going all in on their dream or whatever it might be that they're passionate about?
Fear.
Fear.
That's it. Fear kills more dreams than anything else ever will. You know, people are too scared to get started. They're scared of failure. They're scared of other people telling them that they failed. They're scared of like their friends and family, like, I told you so. Fear is a huge thing, which leads to caring about other people's opinions, which leads to self-doubt, lacking of confidence. You know, there's a lot of things that play into fear. And those are all things you have to overcome to be able to become successful. So that's why I love like talking about the morning routine and the affirmations and the journaling and the reading books and the manifestations and all those things, because that's what builds confidence within yourself. That's what gets rid of the outside haters to allow you to go out there and have confidence in yourself to build a business so you can actually make money.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd love to pick your brain on that a little bit, because you mentioned you read the book Think and Grow Rich. That book was such a game changer for me. As soon as I read that, like I was driving one day, I mean, I couldn't stop thinking about what was next. And then I thought of doing this podcast. So I started knocking on mansion doors, just interviewing, seeing if I could talk to the wealthiest person I could. So my first few episodes are just that. And then slowly through that process, I've been talking to people like you or other investors or business owners, and it just kind of slowly shapes the way you think. And was that the case with when you read the book Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah, so my dream was to go to the NBA. You know, I wanted to be an NBA basketball player. I moved from Ohio to Arizona to play at a junior college out there. So like I was all in. And when I was there, it got to a point where I hated playing basketball. I never wanted to touch a basketball again. That's all that I ever knew in my life. So I was like lost. I was like, what do I do? Like I'm away from my family. I'm living in a different state, halfway across the world. Like what do I do? So for whatever reason, I turned to books. You know, I wish I remember like who told me to read, but I don't. But I ended up reading Think and Grow Rich, and it was like, boom, light bulb. I can make money outside of basketball. And one of the things they said was to journal. So I started journaling every day, and I lived on a 3-story townhome. I went to the rooftop every single day for 30 minutes a day, every single day for an entire 30 minutes at minimum, and just journal. You know, I carry my journal with me literally everywhere. Like I never go anywhere without a journal. You know, I actually found my first journal I ever wrote in a couple months ago. It was cool to like go back through it and look at what I was feeling. But I was journaling on the rooftop, and I was just looking around. There was a 9-unit apartment building, and it just like light bulb. You know, when you open yourself to opportunity, when you put yourself in a position to think and be free, like journaling and affirmations and manifestations, light bulb just lit. It was like 9 people are paying somebody every month. Like he's got to be rich. Real estate, and just kind of went in head first from there.
Man, that's crazy. So how has that turned into you now? Because you're obviously always working on mindset, and I mean, I see you up in the morning on your Instagram, you're reading books or whatever it is, creating content. What's your daily routine like, and how have you been consistent with that?
Yeah. So now I get up, I work out. We usually get to the gym around 6-ish, give or take. Hit the gym, come home, shower, and then I do my affirmations when I'm brushing my teeth. It's posted on my mirror in my bathroom. And then I journal, do my manifestations on my balcony, you know, over here, looking over this, and then read a book, which is right there. And then I just kind of start with what the day looks like. So workout, affirmations, manifestations, read a book, journal, and then kind of start the day from there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's people overlook that. They don't think that, you know, that taking things every day is going to build up or lead to anything, but that's huge, man. Like you're not keeping your mind right. You're going to fizzle out or think about the wrong things or get in your own head.
That's a different thing for sure. I mean, people want $1 million, but they haven't became that person yet. You know, $1 million or whatever your goal is, 100 grand, million, 100 mil, whatever it is, like you have to become that person first in life before that money will ever come into your life.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So throughout your real estate career, I always like to ask, what's been a big setback for you, or have you had any major setbacks to this point?
Yeah, I mean, we always go through setbacks. I mean, I've lost tens of thousands of dollars on deals. I've lost potential hundreds of thousands of dollars on deals, which means I made money on the deal, but instead of making 150, I made like two. So there's been a lot of lessons learned as far as like rehabbing and flipping houses. I've had team issues. I've had people go behind my back. I've had people steal shit from me. I've had friends walk out on me when I lent them money to pay their rent. So I mean, there's in the entrepreneur's journey, like there's always going to be tough times. I remember where I was struggling, trying to figure out how to make payroll. It's always a process, but the thing with it, like entrepreneurs just figure it out. Some people will just curl up in a ball and quit. Other people are like, yo, I don't have another option. Like I gotta figure it out. So it's just part of the process, setback after setback after setback. But the person who continues to get up the most is who continues to get farther and farther ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. With what you've done to this point, one of the things that I'm always so interested in is how people scale, right? Because you get one deal and it's like, okay, that's one deal. But eventually, like if you want to grow, the business model has to be expanding it. Like you can't all be you, right? So you're at a point now where you're operating on a really high level. How have you been able to scale your business to get to that point?
Yeah, so the first like 3 years of business, it was just me. It was 100% me. I did everything, and I wanted to control everything. And for a year and a half in, so 1.5 of the 3 years, a mentor was like, "Yo, you gotta hire, you gotta hire, you gotta hire, you gotta hire, assistant, assistant, assistant." And I was like, "Bro, I can't afford 35 grand a year. Like, I can't pay anybody." And then finally, I came to my senses and hired somebody, and my business like doubled overnight. And every time I've hired somebody, my business has grown. So we all hear about leveraging other people's money. What about leveraging other people's time, right? So that's how I've been able to scale, is having the right team. And like, don't get me wrong, you're gonna have the wrong people. You're gonna hire and then fire and then hire and then fire and then hire and then get somebody good, and then they're gonna be good for a year and then they're gonna quit. Like it's just part of the process. But being able to have the right team to help you grow is huge in the growth process.
Mm-hmm. Is your goal eventually to be completely hands off, where you just sit on the beach and relax?
That's the goal. I don't know if that will ever there's a way to get there like in business, but I don't know if I'll be able to like just relax. You know what I mean? It would be cool for like a week maybe, and then I would drive myself crazy. Like I can't even sit on the couch. I will sit down, me and my girl, just to chill. And 30 minutes in, I'm like, all right, like we got to go do something. Like I can't just sit here and not do anything. So the goal definitely is 100% passive, but I don't know if that'll ever if I'll ever allow myself to be 100% passive. And you can build a business and make it passive, and then go out and start and build another business and make that passive, and then go out and build and start another business and just keep going down the line.
Yeah, that seems to be a common characteristic of people that are operating on a high level, is that there's always the next thing. Like that's why The Rock is never just, oh, I'm done making movies. He's always going to do the next one, or Kevin Hart or something. People aren't satisfied or happy with getting to the spot where they don't have to work. They're happy with the work.
100%. The journey. That's what you enjoy, the process.
Yeah. So with your business where it's right now, what does it look like? Are you focusing on fix and flip, or how have you been able to diversify? I know you do a little bit of crypto as well. What does your business look like?
Yeah, so starting out way back was flipping houses. Then we got into new construction, then wholesaling, then buying rental property. So we've been buying a lot of rentals for the last year or so, year and a half. And the market's so hot right now. We've been flipping some houses instead of keeping them as rentals recently, just to make the money. And I'm taking that money and then putting it into crypto. So I got a lot of money in crypto. I spend a lot of time educating myself on crypto. I think real estate has been there. It will be there. It's a great place to make money. But I think there's two massive opportunities going forward. One of which is crypto. I believe it is the future. We will be transacting money through this, paying through cryptocurrencies, and a lot of other things through the crypto space. So I'm spending a lot of time on crypto. I'm putting a lot of money into crypto. And then the second opportunity that I see is eyeballs. Eyeballs equals currency. So building a brand like you're doing on a podcast, getting eyeballs in social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. If you have the eyeballs, you can print your own money. You can drop a t-shirt, You can do a mastermind. You can drop a course. You can do whatever you want. If you have 100 million eyeballs, I promise you, you're going to make money. So I'm going super heavy on the brand and content side as well. I'm just trying to add as much value to everybody to hopefully, get them to follow me and allow me to continue to add value to them.
Yeah, you've done really well. I mean, from what I've seen, just based on your following, I'm assuming crypto has been going crazy this year, so I'm sure that's done well. And I want to talk about both of them. When did your social media kind of start popping off? Because you got that blue check mark now.
For sure. So TikTok blew up over the last like 6-7 months. I got over 500,000 followers on TikTok. That single-handedly has changed my life tenfold. Just being on TikTok, people think it's a joke. I did too, until one of my friends, changed his life through TikTok, and I was like, oh, I got to get on TikTok. So that's been a game changer over the last 6-7 months. Instagram, the last year and probably 2 years now, I've been pushing really heavy on Instagram. And then YouTube, a little over a year as well. YouTube's taken a while to grow, but I think it's one of those things you wake up 3-5 years down the line and you thank yourself for what, the work that you put in to get there. So we're going heavy on all of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, my YouTube, I mean, dude, it's so weak. I got 103 subscribers, but I don't know if I would have been able to keep doing the podcast if I was focusing on that number. Because the way I'm thinking about it is what this would be my 34th episode or 35th. And so I just have however many hours talking with the people that are so much better than me, I can have a repertoire of just conversation and advice. And who knows, the internet's going to be around forever. So, when I'm way further on, I can look back. So there's a lot of value that I think that doing social media, even on a small level, can be beneficial. You've obviously taken off and are
for
doing
sure. But the thing with that, the reason my YouTube took off, I got about 21,000 subs, which is I'm still a long way away from where I want to be, but it's something, was through TikTok. So, but you got to start TikTok. You got to start adding value to people. You learn from you talk to people like me all the time, and things that I say, things that other people say, I know it hits home different things for you. Start making TikToks on that. The 5 things that all these millionaires say, boom, all 5 of us say these 5 things, whatever it is. Just start making TikToks and telling a story, adding value to people. And then at the end, by the way, if you want to see the full interview, check the YouTube. My YouTube blew up off of TikTok, bro. So
really,
that's a massive opportunity for you.
Yeah, I might do that. I've been told before, but I guess if you're saying that, I might actually do it this time.
For sure.
So what's the deal with crypto? Is that really going to run the world? I don't know anything.
I think it is. I watch hours and hours and read hours of videos and articles every single day. I think it's the future. I don't think there's any way around it personally.
And is that going to be just Bitcoin is the main one, or you got the Doge meme, or you got Elon and it's changing every night? Which one?
So they all do different things, right? When I got into the game, I didn't even know. I thought crypto was Bitcoin, right? Mm. Crypto is like stocks. So you got stock market and you got cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is like Amazon. And then you got Tesla, Apple, Walmart, Ford, all these other things. And that's what all these other coins are. So each one does different things, just like Amazon and Apple do different things. Are they all going to succeed? I think there's 9,000 cryptocurrencies right now. Are they all going to succeed? No. Are half of them going to succeed? No. Are 80% of them going to succeed? Probably not. But the ones that do succeed, I feel, are going to be those people that change the world, like the Apples, like the Amazons. And we're going to look back 5 years from now and be like, man, that's so like Blockbuster and Netflix. It's going to be like, why didn't everybody do that? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm a believer in it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. It seems like the paper thing we're doing with money is just outdated and it's losing value. And I mean, I don't know how soon it'll be out the door because the government kind of backs that a little bit. I imagine there's some growing pains there if you just say this is the way we're doing it. But when I get around to it, I should probably start thinking more seriously about crypto. Cool. So one of the things I always like to ask, I mean, I kind of have an idea, but you're just from your perspective, if someone were to get started and real estate today with the resources that are available. And they didn't have a lot of money, assuming, because I'm sure you could pay people to do things for you. But say you're just starting out, first day, how are you going to do it, and what's your game plan?
Yeah, I mean, there's two steps to it. One's education, two's implementation. So number one, you got to learn. There's YouTube University for free. You can go to my YouTube, Austin Rutherford. There's a ton of videos there, which doesn't require any money. If you want to invest into a course or a mentor, you can do that as well. But education is first and foremost, and then implementation is number two. What I would implement after you learn it, especially on a tight budget, is driving for dollars and or text messaging. Text messaging is super cheap, but those are both marketing strategies, which gets leads in the door. And then once you get the right lead, right deal, then you can determine what to do with it. Whether that's you wholesale it, whether that's you flip it, whether that's you raise private money and buy and keep it as a rental property. All of your extra strategies are open if you can get the deal. So implement marketing strategies that are not that expensive.
Yeah, I mean, the one deal you said, you got the deal and you were just like, I'll figure it out, right? Because if it's a deal, then there's going to be something, right? You can figure out a way to go with it.
Definitely. Again, you don't need 0 to 100. You need like 0 to 5, and then just start the process.
Yeah. As far as real estate right now, do you think if everyone kind of clickbaits that there's going to be this big crash, or that the real estate's dead, whatever it is, do you think in the next few years we're due for another huge crash, or what's your perspective on where that's going?
Inevitably, for sure. I mean, all markets go up and all markets come down. If you look at the crypto space, the market went through the roof, and then it just tanked 60%. Some coins more than that. So it's inevitable that it will come down, guaranteed. But the question is when. I thought it was going to happen a long time ago, but we keep printing this money and postponing it, kicking a can down the road. Who knows how long that's going to last? They're talking about doing another $6 trillion stimulus, which is insanity to me, but it is what it is. So yes, it will happen. When, is it going to happen in the next 6 months? I don't think so. In the next 12, 24, 36 months, if I had to guess, barring crazy stimulus plans, probably something's going to happen.
Yeah. I watch a lot of Pace Morby, you know him. He does a lot of creative financing, and I think it's really cool the way he talks about how he buys rentals that cash flow, and he doesn't care about whether the market crashes, because he's still going to be making money. The equity is like a bonus.
100%. People ask me all the time, like, I got about 70 units under my rental portfolio, and people are like, well, what happens when the market crashes? What happens is I keep getting paid. Like, what do you mean what happens? If your mortgage is $500 and your rent's $1,000, like it's hard to lose with that. People get in trouble when their mortgage is, $900 and the rent's $950, right? That's where the risk comes in my opinion, the risk comes into play. But if you got a big cushion and it makes sense renting with cash flow, you can weather any storm.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And that's such a great long-term plan. If you can grow your rental portfolio, real estate market's going to go up eventually. So, you're just going to gain equity and pay those off if they're cash flowing. Are you a fan of creative finance? Do you do that, or are you mostly just the Burr method, or what's your experience with rentals been like?
Yeah, I don't do creative that much. Every deal I've done except 2 have been through the Burr method.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's pretty tried and true, right?
Yeah, it's worked great for me so far.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of wrapping up here, what are some of your long-term goals in real estate? Is it to just grow a huge rental portfolio, or do you want to get into more coaching? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. People want to own rental properties for cash flow, for freedom, right? But the problem with that is there's vacancies, there's tenants, there's damages, there's insurance, there's a whole bunch of variables that come into that. So I own real estate. I'm going to continue to buy and own real estate, but I'm diversifying into cryptocurrencies because there's cash flow inside of cryptocurrencies. You can stake your crypto and get paid 5, 10, 15% a year on it. Which, if you do the math, dollar for dollar, you get paid more on crypto than you do on real estate. Now you don't have the depreciation and other tax benefits. So I'm not saying do one or the other. In my opinion, I'm doing both and diversifying because I think both are great options. So one of my goals was to like own 1,000 doors. You know, if great deals come across the board and I get to 1,000 doors, that's great. But you know, I want to make money to then invest into other assets that have a massive upside as well. So buy some more rentals, invest heavily into cryptocurrencies, and yeah, keep doing real estate. You know, it's been great. It's got me to where I am. It's always going to make money. So you know, we're not stopping real estate, but we're definitely diversifying a little bit.
That's awesome. And because this is the Get Wealth podcast, I always like to ask the question, what's your definition of wealth?
So I've really never thought of like a definition of wealth. You know, I've thought of a definition of success, which to me, if your definition of success is wealth to you, right? And everybody has a different definition of that. And the problem that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs, they get started in business because of a why, which is their definition of success: family, freedom, time, money, giving back, whatever it is. That's why they start. And then they get caught up in the day to day and making money, and they forget to go back to their why. And they wake up 1, 5, 10, 20 years down the line, and they forgot all about this thing right here. So I'm very conscious of my whys and where I spend my time. And I'm going back to my whys, right? People build a business and then build a life around their business. That's the wrong way of doing things. You need to build a life and then build a business around that life. You know, that's the definition of success. That's the definition of freedom. That's the definition of wealth to me. When you can build a life, whether that's traveling, whether that's spending time with your family, whether that's, you know, donating 10 hours a day, whatever that looks like for you, do that and then find a way to make money around that. Because the cool thing with like this nowadays, you can make money from anywhere in the world. So build the life that you want. That's your definition of success. That's a perfect day to you, and then build the business around that.
Dang, that's got to be one of the best answers I've had to that question. Good stuff. And then you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. What's a book you would tell people to read?
Think and Grow Rich, the magic of thinking big. I got a book. It's called From Valet to Millionaire. It's the 10 things they don't teach you to become rich. They is your family, your teachers, your parents, your friends, all the people that don't know any better, that tell you, oh, that sounds too good to be true. Why are you working so hard? All those things that like hold people back from going out there and pursuing their dreams. It's the 10 things they don't teach you to become rich.
That's awesome. Yeah. Can I link that in the description? Is there a link to that book?
Amazon. It's on Amazon.
Okay. Yep. That's awesome. Listen, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on my small podcast. And I'm sure you got a lot going on. So I think you really provided some value, and I'd love to stay in touch with you. So yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, brother. I'm going to be looking forward to being back on here after it blows up to 100,000 subs.
Sounds good, dude. Is there any links that you want to plug, or social media? Where can people find you at?
Yeah. So Instagram is at Austin Rutherford Official. TikTok is Austin Rutherford. YouTube is Austin Rutherford. And if anybody is interested in getting into real estate, wholesaling, flipping, or buying rental properties, if you go to thereblueprint.com, we have some courses available there as well.
That's awesome. Austin Rutherford, everybody. Get wealthy.
Appreciate you,